Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Spiritual Grind. We hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to follow, hit the little bell for your notifications when the podcast is posted, and follow, and share with your friends. We hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to speak about.
Like, follow, share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning.
I see you're stoned this morning.
I'm stoned.
She's very stoned. She has stones all around her.
We've got rose quartz. We've got some selenite.
Great.
We got some obsidian.
You done blew the top off of it.
What does that mean?
Your coffee.
It's actually hot chocolate.
Oh, you blew the top off the hot chocolate?
No, I just have the lid open because it's piping hot.
It's piping hot. I should have censored that.
It's skin melting hot.
Skin melting. Well, today I had a awesome thought in mind about the topic.
Okay.
And I was sitting there when I was learning to play Stand By Me on bass guitar, which I just learned this morning.
Sounds really good too.
It went really well. Do you ever give up your power?
You asking me personally?
Well,
I do.
You do. You give up your power sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just take the power sometimes.
No.
No?
Nope.
Well.
People don't ever take.
Don't ever take.
So that statement in and of itself it gives the presence that you have no control over it.
Okay.
Like somebody has the ability to do something to you that you didn't agree to.
Okay.
And everything that happens in your reality, you are agreeing to allow to happen for one reason or another, even if it feels shitty.
Yeah.
Even if it feels
yucky.
So nobody can take your power from you. You
Without
can
your
make
permission.
it seem like they are, but it still is you creating that reality because you choose to believe that you have more to learn from revisiting or even visiting for the first time the concept that somebody has the ability to take that from you.
That's kind of where my mind went this morning. I think there's different types of giving, different ways that we give up our power. And, A is we either accept something in a kind of a way that we don't always agree with, but we accept it. And then there's ways that we kind of just quietly give it up and don't realize we're doing it. And then there's ways of we negotiate with other people on things and give up powers and give up certain things. What brings it up I was sitting there playing the bass this morning. I used to have such a love for music. I mean, back in the day, I really loved it. It was a lot of fun for me because I learned to play the banjo, and I remember how much I enjoyed it, and I gave that power away.
To who?
Well, I don't want to bring up any names, but I gave that power away.
Voldemort?
Yeah, Voldemort.
He who has a name that shall not be mentioned.
What was the villain on Charmed? What was the bad guy on Charmed?
It wasn't Charmed. It was Harry Potter, and it was Voldemort.
No, I was talking about the bad guy on Charmed, the devil guy that got married to Alyssa Milano or whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so when I was sitting there playing, I was thinking, man, why did I ever stop playing? And why did I stop learning? Because I really loved it back in the day. And then your great idea to bring it back into our reality was awesome, and I'm enjoying it.
Good.
I'm enjoying it because it's a time just to bury yourself into the vibrational sounds of things.
Yeah.
And become one with that vibration. I enjoyed it a lot. And thank you for bringing that back into my reality.
My pleasure.
And so I was sitting there thinking, why did I ever do that? And and it came to my conclusion that I gave up my power because I fell into societal thoughts of what I'm supposed to be as a husband and a dad and a father, and nowhere in my genealogy did my examples come into play of musical instruments or, I mean, I didn't have Ozzy Osbourne as a dad. You know what I mean?
Oh, so we're tapping on the identity definition paradigm.
Yes.
Nice.
And so I
No.
my thoughts were, well, I give up something that I really enjoyed. I mean, they didn't have music class in my school growing up. They had band, and if you weren't already in band taking lessons outside school, then they wouldn't even let you in the room. I remember getting run out of the room when I went in there. It was like, oh, look at all these.
Excuse me. Don't touch that.
Do you have your private membership card?
Don't touch that. Please, do not touch that. Nope, don't touch that either.
You're going to tear it up. What do you mean? It's a drum. They beat the shit out of it.
I can see you running amok in the music class. No, don't touch that. No. Don't touch that.
And I got thrown out. But anyway, and why did I ever give that up? And that's what I identified is I gave up my power because I fell into societal taught, like you said, identity of who I should be. I shouldn't be spending money on myself. I should be spending it on my family and my kids. I shouldn't, I shouldn't spend time 2 hours a week going to lessons or whatever that is. It was all about work, make money, kids, work, make money, kids, and so I just give it all up.
Entangled with the
Identity
should
crisis.
Or shouldn't quest.
Okay.
Should I or
Do
shouldn't
tell.
I? Well, if you live your life on the premise that you should or shouldn't be doing something because there's a should and shouldn't, then that will limit you quite a bit.
Oh, I was limited.
Especially if you believe that there's a certain way a title is supposed to look and give that a very intricate definition, and then try to follow that model that you've created in your head from sometimes very limited resources.
Yeah.
You've created a character that is pretty wonky and almost unobtainable.
What came to mind while I was sitting there about the identity thing is there was this guy, and I'm not gonna mention any names, that was in my life that was what I viewed as the perfect husband, dad, father. He was a business owner. Actually, he wasn't a business owner. He was a retired professional athlete that is now a business owner. And him and I knew each other quite well. And I viewed him as the perfect dad, the perfect husband, the perfect, everything. And then I remember one day he invited me over to his home for his birthday. And
this should be interesting.
yeah, he took me to his...
what did you see?
He took me to his private man cave. And in his private man cave was an entire room of instruments. And I was like, cool, T. I'll call him T. I mean, hell, I didn't know you played any music. He said, oh, yeah, I spend 2, 3, 4 hours a week down here. I'm like, man, I wish. And he said, well, the only thing stopping you is you.
That's right.
But in the back of my mind was, no, that's not what was stopping me, was me. No. That does not fit the mold of this person that I have developed in my mind. And I was kind of modeling my style of being a dad and a husband to this guy, and then he takes me to his man cave, which has, literally there's beer coolers, there's all this band equipment. He had drums, he had some high dollar electric guitars, and he had Black Sabbath's original touring drums that he bought at auction, the Pearl drums.
Okay.
And he played those like they weren't memorabilia. He'd beat on them. But it was a good time. But
side note, if you do decide to get into music, The less expensive equipment does just as well. We're finding out.
Yeah.
I'm finding out.
Yeah, no, maybe down the road as we advance, we'll learn that sounds are a little different. Because I do notice a couple things on my bass that are on your bass, whoever bass it is. I've kind of stake claim to it, I think.
I was going to say, whoa there,
Pump
Sheila.
the brakes, Batman.
Pump your brakes, Sheila.
But,
yeah, he goes to the store, buys a guitar. I go to the store, buy an acoustic cello, an electric cello, a bass guitar, an air piano now.
oh, yeah, did that come in yet?
It's due to arrive today, actually.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be fun to play with. Anyway, so at the end of the conversation, T said, well, the only thing stopping you is you. And I was like, oh, no. Nope. First of all, I don't have time. Second of all, my kids wouldn't let me. Third of all, I could never have my own private man cave. I could lock everything up because his door locked. He's the only person that has a key to it. And,
wow, such a limited lifestyle.
And he just, and then he takes me to his garage, by the way. I just have to side note. He takes me to his garage, and he's got this like 7-car garage that has these massive numbers of very high dollar sports cars parked in the back. And I was like, man, I wish again, because all I had was bicycles and 4-wheelers and crap in my garage. There was nothing for me in there. I did have a boat, or two. But it was pretty much a call for me. And then when I was sitting there this morning and I thought back to all this, I'm like, why did I give up all my power? And you said it right. It's a societal identity crisis.
What do you mean by crisis?
Like it would say, it's a spot that.
Now or then?
Then. Yeah, not now. I mean, I'm recognizing it now because I moved on from it. But now
I wouldn't identify it as a crisis. I would identify
kind of was
it as a level of experience.
I agree, but then it was a crisis because it had exposed this inner, passion for me to play music back when I was a child. It ignited that.
I see. So what happened is when you had the opportunity to see his lifestyle, it created almost kind of a crisis in you,
right,
on what you had created versus what he created.
Correct.
Versus what you could have created.
Yes.
I see. I understand. And
so it created this internal turmoil of what to do, how to do it, which was for me kind of it exposed to me that we all as humans have inner passions and inner things that we like to do.
Then or now?
It was exposed. This morning it exposed to me.
I see.
Because I'd never really just stopped and thought about it after that at all for many years. That was many years ago. And now I'm sitting there this morning and I'm thinking, man, that's insane. Why do we do that? Why do we give up our power?
Well, it's a deep conversation. Most of the time, humanly.
That's me eating my carrot sandwich.
Does it have mayonnaise or mustard on it? Most of the time, if we are giving up our power or what we perceive to be giving up our power, we're doing it unconsciously. We don't realize that we've created that situation.
Right.
Listen, here's the truth about that. Let's get to the truth and then we'll break it down. The truth is that you are so powerful and have so much control that you have the ability to create an illusion that you are not in control so that you can experience what it feels like to not be in control at various levels.
Okay.
Because you chose to know what those layers of lack of control feel like. So again, I take you back to the premise that you're always in control. You just may be choosing to create a reality that makes it feel like you're not in control at some level. So with that being said, you never really give up your power. You create a virtual reality that gives you the human experience or perception that you have given away your power, or you're letting someone take your power away so that you can solve the mystery of how to get it back.
Oh, no, I didn't create that reality.
Yes, you did.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to my private counseling sessions, by the way.
These are all pro bono, by the way. I get nothing.
You get me. Or I'm not Bono.
I'm not sure.
Well, you know, I agree with what you're saying, but here's the part of it that kind of can throw a little monkey wrench in my thought.
Okay.
And that is, why did I never even think about it? Even after that day at T's house, I never once thought about it. Never once even questioned where I was. And I was like, and I just remember thinking, oh, one day.
You want the surface conversation or you want the subsurface conversation?
I want whatever one you are led to give me.
So why did you never think about it? The surface conversation would simply be that it was not something that you chose to experience on that deep of a level yet. You wanted to know what it was like to go through level 1 on the game of creating this level of reality for yourself with these limitations and lack of power, so to speak, so that you could get from point A to point Z. And sometimes you create reality that allows you to go stair step one level at a time, and that's by choice, always. So if you're not awakened, so subsurface conversation, if you're not awakened, and most people start their journey out not awakened yet, you don't know how to create anything other than what you have learned along your way. So then we are taught societally and parentally that creating our reality is going to look very similar to society's definition of how it should look and our parental guidance on how it should look, because we as humans, the human construct of the mind, will look for the easiest way to create something. And if you've already got a template that you can mimic, then you'll just copycat what already has been exposed to you until you get exposed to something that can layer on the next level of experience, the next higher step to that experience. And so you created what you created because that's all you knew. That's the only thing that you have files on in your big brain library. You created what you created because somewhere along the way you studied somebody or you gathered knowledge to build a foundation and a layered experience to the level by which you were able to do so in the state of awakeness that you were at. And so that's what you could do.
Okay. So if I weren't to hear you correctly.
If you wanted to, but you don't.
No, I said if I were to hear you correctly.
Okay.
I would hear you saying, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault.
Oh, wow.
And
you woke up on the wrong side of the bread today.
No, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying that's what I just kept hearing over and over. It was like, okay, so I did this to myself. I did this to myself. I did this to myself. But in the reality of the thing, in my thought process is identifying those things. You're right. I ordered off the menu that I had.
Yeah, that's right.
And
it's not a negative thing.
And I didn't biggie size it.
No.
And so in my mind, I operated off of that menu.
And you didn't have any
reality.
tools. That's right. You it's not a negative thing. You ordered off the menu that you were provided.
So what happened after I seen that the menu could be expanded?
Well, at that choice, at that level, then at that bifurcation,
at that
At that.
I wish I could. I wish I had a mixer board. I need to add a mixer board.
A looper and a mixer.
Could turn the.
At that point in the journey, you have a bifurcational point. So you have a turning point.
Okay.
You've been exposed to new information, new data. You get to choose then, do I change my entire reality or do I stay the same?
I changed my reality. It just took me a long time to get there.
Do I make minor modifications and change it just a little bit? What can I tolerate? What will my belief system allow me to tolerate? Will it allow me to tolerate a complete upheaval and redefining of my entire existence? Or can I only tolerate small minor changes? And that's how we go about it. Some people are at a point where they're ready for a complete and total overhaul. And that may look like selling everything off, putting a bag of clothes in a car and take off driving to a whole nother town, set up shop there and do that for a while. It may look like something a little simpler that you can digest and let in, where maybe you change your house, you sell the house you're in, or you move up the street a little ways, but you stay in the same town. It could mean that I'm not there yet. That's even too big of a step. The best I can do would be change my wardrobe and go from dressing like a librarian to being a little less modest and embracing my body.
The cleavage.
It could be, maybe you're at a moderate level where you can embrace selling all of your living room furniture and completely changing it into a music studio.
I didn't do it again and again. That was fun.
It just depends on where you're at in your beliefs, patterns, and programs, where your mind will let you go once you have that new information that you've been exposed to, that you created along your journey. Because when you're going along your journey, la 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 la, all of a sudden you get to go right or you get to go left. Okay. Neither is wrong, neither is right. It's just options. And if you go right and you're shown an entirely different level of lifestyle, you get to actually choose then, okay, what action steps do I need to take to mimic this? Because that seems like it would be the most joyful and entertaining and exciting way to go now.
Dig it. I dig the thought. Now let's go with another version of giving up your power.
Okay.
Emotional temporary power regression.
Dear God.
Good God. Somebody called 911. She's choking on that over there.
Well, I don't even know. That was like a double Big Mac. How did you even get that out of your mouth?
I don't know. Repeat that, please. No. And there, like,
can you say that again?
Emotional response reality I don't even remember what I said.
What?
It just came out, so I have no clue what it's like. So I guess to put it in layman's terms, when we get involved in something like something that angers you, and that somebody else has angered you, and we allow it to bother us, and we give up the power of our reality and happiness.
Okay.
By allowing their emotional response or their actions to trigger an emotional response in us that takes away our happiness.
Okay. Is there a question there?
No, I'm just using another example of giving up our daily power for the listeners.
I see.
Because I see this happen a lot every day with different people.
Right.
They'll get mad at somebody and they allow that anger to take over their happiness.
Yes.
And instead of just being, you know what, it's their life, their reality, I release it, it's on them, whatever they're doing. If I said something that made them angry, that's on them, not on me.
Right.
They allow that to happen. So how do we as humans, Dr. Jenny, stop that from happening?
Well, I mean, the first step obviously is becoming aware that it is happening and that you want to feel differently or that you want to perceive the situation differently. You've brought it into your reality so that you can let whatever beliefs are ready to come up, evaluate them, and then view them in a more mellow or more neutral tone, if you will, so that it can't bump up against that anymore because you've accepted the emotion of it's angered me, but now I want to go to the emotional scale of just neutrality. I want to get from there to there. So again, you go through the steps of, if you're at a place where you can really research why it bugged you, then stop and do that. If you're at work in a human life and you can't, take your little notebook out and jot down the scenario so that when you get home, you can dive deep into that and find out why did it matter? Why did it trigger this emotional response in me? Because somewhere in you, there is a belief, a definition that triggered an experience or a like experience in your own history that you're bringing with you into this now moment that was not pleasure.
Right. Yeah. It's all based off history. Yeah.
And when it gets triggered, it's an indicator that, okay, you're strong enough, you're ready to look at this, evaluate whether you want to keep it or evaluate whether you want to rewrite it, redefine it, or completely just let it go. Otherwise, it wouldn't bug you.
Okay.
Because you're ready to have a new set point on your vibrational frequency in an elevated format.
Agreed. So, like, there's a situation that recently happened with me that angered me profusely because I was personally attacked. I feel like it was a personal attack.
Right.
And there was an investigation involved and yada, yada, yada. And then I get called about it because, and I just said to him, in this moment, I allowed this was going on for like 7-10 days. I allowed that to consume me. And you're exactly right. It brought up a historic part of my life that I was ready to deal with and release.
Yeah.
And in the middle of this conversation that I had on the phone, I was like, you know what? I want nobody harmed. Y'all do what you want to. I want to have no part of being anybody's, what's the best word for it? Enabler, to enable them to A, take anybody else's power away, or B, touch mine anymore.
Right.
And so I had cleared that belief and that historical moment. And so I just like, you know what? Do what you want. I want nobody harmed. I want no part of that. And it is on you what you guys do.
Yeah, because as you go along your awakening spiritual path, our individual agendas really are to become light beings.
Yes.
Which, if you break that down into a clearer definition, we're all just trying to get to a place where we remember what our natural light frequency is,
Mm-hmm.
and remember that the baggage that we're carrying is kind of what weighs us down.
Mm-hmm.
And so the process by which you go about to do that is, whenever there's a belief with a heavy frequency or emotion that is attached to it, is ready to surface and deal with at that level, then you will, with your higher self, create a scenario that will help you revisit the feelings of it at a different level, and let the next layer of things come up so that you can get closer and closer to that neutral point. And then from there, the next level of the game is getting to a place where you can accept that being, even when they've done this perceived wrongdoing, in spite of their humanness. So right now, kind of where you're at is, it seems like you're just trying to get to that neutral point where You can think about it. It can be a pop quiz brought back into your reality, and it doesn't stimulate any kind of emotional response within you. And so there may be moments where you test yourself again, do a little pop quiz to see if you've truly gotten that belief reconfigured and the thoughts and habits and definitions reconfigured within that. But that was basically what that was about.
That was what happened at the phone call when I said, you know what, y'all do what you want to do. I want no part of it.
Yeah.
And I have yet to have a single emotion about it since. And I'm okay with that because that means I have really kind of cleared that cloudiness out of my glass bubble, so to speak.
Yeah. So that's a good place to hang out for just
really
a
is.
second.
Yeah.
Because there's been questions in the collective. How do I know that I've gotten a belief cleared or reprogrammed or redefined? How do I know? So spend a moment talking about how it felt when you came to that moment of just knowing, like you know that, okay, I'm at that next level. All of this has dissolved and faded, and I've got it going on. Kind of talk about that for just a minute.
A mimic?
A minute.
So did you tell me to think about or talk about?
Talk about.
Oh, because I'm sitting there thinking about.
Well, there's some listeners that probably can't hear your thoughts yet.
So it's actually
How
a pretty
did that
simple.
feel, and what did it feel like when you got to that place?
Well, it's pretty simple for me because I worked outside all day yesterday, and I was working on heavy equipment, which I love. It's kind of my little meditation place.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and I was running the little excavator, and I remember thinking about the situation, and I had zero response to it, either happy, sad, mad, celebratory, non-celebratory, whatever. I was just like, it was total and complete just calmness because I got so worked up over it.
Yeah.
And then I went to opposite spectrum with it. And then I got worked up. And so I went through this yo-yo effect or pendulum effect, as we call it.
Of emotions.
Of emotions
Right.
based around it. And then finally I was like, why am I allowing this to control my happiness?
Right.
And so when I let that go, because it was based off some previous stuff, and what happened wasn't right, but it is what it is. What happened? Well, they create their own reality, and whatever happens with them is on them. I just want no part of it.
Right.
And so I became very, I guess, so to speak, it's a feeling of just, okay, yeah, I'm okay. It's all okay. I have no part of it.
Been there, done that.
Very peaceful. T-shirt. Yeah, it's peaceful. I truly, from an inner, very deep subconscious level, do not care what happens.
Right.
Do not care.
Doesn't affect you one way or the other.
Because I am not going to allow it to affect me at all.
Yeah.
In any way. In a 360-degree radius, it is not going to affect me. And because, first of all, another part of it that made it better and easier for me is yesterday you said something to me that really rang my bell yesterday morning when you said, the power is yours. Or you're saying it's somebody else. Your power is your power or something like that. And you're right. Or you said something to that sense that made me think my power is my power. I'm not going to give it away in this kind of a situation anymore. Because I know, A, energetically how strong I am. And B, I also know humanly how strong I am.
Right.
I am a man that can and will always be able to do anything and anything I want.
That's right.
I said anything twice.
Your twice is powerful.
I know. And so to describe how I felt, it was just complete and total emptiness without emotion based upon the thought. So when I thought about it, I wasn't happy, wasn't sad. It was just like a...
Neutral. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like just coasting with the clutch in.
And did it feel good to be in that place?
Very much so.
Yeah.
It felt very releasing, very, like sometimes you get that little ball of energy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no ball of energy. It was just kind of there. And it just made the rest of my day very peaceful.
Yeah.
And very fun. I got to think about a lot of things and I wasn't thinking about negative stuff. I was thinking about positive stuff.
Yeah.
Like our cruise is coming up and, our trip to Egypt at the end of the year. We have all this stuff going on in our life, this great podcast. I have an awesome wife. I have an awesome life.
Oh,
I do. I have, they're really, the positives in my reality far outweigh the negatives.
yeah.
Far. And like I was sitting there going through negative stuff and thinking about the positive, and I just kept going to the positive. I couldn't think about very much negative. There's a few things negative, but the reality is I was at peace. And so me having the power, because what I also noticed is I had some irritation with other things.
Yeah.
So I've just slowly taken my power back, so to speak, in each one of those in my mind. And that too is freeing.
Yeah.
And so the more you can take your power back from the situation, the better. Me sitting in our living room this morning, learning to play Stand By Me by Benny King.
Yeah.
On the bass guitar was taking my power back. I had full release in there. And it was crazy how free my mind got. I mean, I was playing the song in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Sounded really good.
And it's a very freeing situation. And so the reality is when we give our power away, because that's really what happens. We allow it to go away.
It's what you think happens, but we'll run with it on that level.
And so I guess, so let me define what I'm talking about then. So when we give our power away, is what I mean is we allow the situations to happen in our reality, or we have created things in our reality that makes our power go away. Either way, we're giving it away.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify it because you're not really giving it away. And if you've got newbies coming to listen, then we don't want to mislead them in thinking that they are just giving their power away or that it's being taken from them.
Right.
It is an underlying agreement and negotiation to have a learning, growth, development experience.
Right. I had the client that I worked with at one of the expos. At the last expo, actually, she was going through a divorce. Her job had just transferred her 1,800 miles away. And one of the things that she asked me is why does the government give him all the power? When I was the breadwinner, I was but yet they were giving him all the power. And I'm like, the only person that's giving the power away is you. Mm-hmm. And so you have to stop and say, okay, what is this and what in this that I'm supposed to see and learn? And B, where in my reality am I really viewing that I'm giving my power away?
Right.
Why do you think you feel like you're doing it? Because for me, like the instrument thing and the music thing, I felt like it was just quietly sucked off, as we call it on TV. It was like quietly and covertly. One day it's just gone. Poof, gone. That's what we call it when we always watch The Ghost Whisperer. And when the spirit goes to light and they go away, we say, oh, it got sucked off.
And so you're talking about in your personal journey, where did the power get sucked off?
Right. And you have to stop and look at it because it's in your reality, so you can look at it because it's back in your reality because your higher self thinks that you can handle it now. The higher self knows you can handle it now, but you have to stop and say, okay, what is this showing to me? Why am I allowing this to happen? Why am I giving my power away? Because your higher self wants you to be neutral. It wants you to not have
your higher self
emotional
wants you to be at your natural
self.
And your natural vibrational state is not necessarily neutral, but you can't always go from perception of lack of power to knowing that you are part of the all that is with all the power in the multi-gigaverse.
Oh, here we go with that again. Here we go with that again.
Well, it's just bigger than a multiverse.
1 in gazillion.
You can't get there from there. That's 3 can'ts.
3 can'ts.
Let's do the can't.
Hey, let's recant.
Let's recant.
We're recanting.
Incantation. And so you have to go the steps that you can.
Okay.
You got to go the steps that you can. Baby steps.
I agree with you completely. And so when we go through the processes and all that, so that would be I think my advice to everybody out there when they feel like that they're giving their power away is to stop and say to yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to see in it? And why am I giving my emotional power out?
Yeah. Why am I giving this person control over affecting my reality to the point where I'm experiencing an unpleasant or uncomfortable emotion within it?
Right.
Why am I doing that? You're going to find that there is a belief, some sort of habit, some sort of pattern, some sort of definition in place that is causing that perspective that you have that brings about an emotion or a feeling within that particular situation that you're experiencing.
Dr. Jenny, this is just in from the news desk.
From the North Pole.
This is just in from the news desk. What do you got out there, Johnny? You cannot control somebody else's reality. You can only control your own.
That's right.
So,
now you can play a character in somebody else's.
I was trying to act like a news reporter coming in from the outside, and my button for some reason just didn't do anything. I was like, "What just happened? Why did it not work?"
Empty button.
You can only control your response.
You can only control your reality.
Right.
You can play a character in somebody else's reality, but that is too. Well, first of all, that's a rabbit hole conversation.
Yeah, very much so.
And that is still an agreed upon arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
So you can experience something in your reality that is not necessarily designed for your benefit, your learning, or your growth, but for the benefit of somebody else. And so then you become the surface dweller observing what's happening.
Get it.
And we haven't talked about that a whole lot on previous podcasts, how to tell the difference between is this me being a character?
Is it me or is it Memorex?
Wow, that's an
80s throwback.
That is. We're throwing it back, ladies and gentlemen.
Pure country.
Going 80s. That is definitely a topic to explore.
Yeah.
Because there are times when you'll have experiences and they weren't designed specifically for you, but because we're learning still how to identify situations, emotions, and sometimes those emotions get confused. For example, anxiety gets confused with excitement.
Yeah.
Anger gets confused with confusion. Boredom gets confused with stillness or being. There's still some confusion in there on those vibrational frequencies because they're very similar, and we've kind of logged them in a way that's not altogether accurate. You can be an observer of a situation, and it wasn't really, you were just as the character. To help that person. The character. To help that person have the experience to the deepest level they could. Yeah.
And so I want to throw a disclaimer out there. Just because you are feel like your boss is taking your power away, and Dr. Jenny just told you that that's a prearranged agreement, do not go to work and cuss out your boss and say, Dr. Jenny said it was okay. Because you're just an actor in their play. So make sure you get right with it first.
I mean, if that's what you need to do.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
Just know that there are going to be some consequences in that decision, and I hope you're ready for it.
Because here's the thing about it is when you don't take your power back by going and mimicking energy. That's not how you take your power back.
Or trampling on
somebody else. That's right. You take your power back by allowing it to be at peace within you.
Yeah. Because you can only control yourself.
That's correct. And so that's why I was throwing that disclaimer out there, because I really don't want anybody going to work and cussing out your boss because your boss made you stay 15 minutes late one day.
Well, even that example, your boss can't make you stay 15 minutes late. You're making a choice.
That's correct. You can quit your job.
No, you can just say, I can't do that today. I would love to help you, but I have plans in my personal life that require me to be somewhere at a certain time. And so I'm not able to help you today, but I'd be more than happy to help you on another day, or you can leave the sentence there. Like, it's all about how you present the information and how you go about handling it.
Agreed.
Taking your power back can look
Very peaceful.
it doesn't have to be a fight.
You don't have to be aggressive.
It doesn't have to, you don't have to get out your big samurai sword and lob heads off over it.
I do want to say one thing, though. It is okay to have emotions.
It is.
Just remember that you projecting your emotions, you're going to get it back. Because
That's right.
what you put out, you get back.
That's right.
And so it is, it's okay to go to the closet and have a little punching dummy in there and beat the fire out of some punching dummy in the closet all by yourself. That's okay to do. No disclaimer involved in that. You can beat the fire out of that dummy if you want to.
The dummy might not like it. Depending on what you're defining as a dummy.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Is it
and I don't mean your husband.
Plastic, or is it actually a living meat suit?
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't hit anybody alive. I wouldn't do that. And just because you call your husband dummy doesn't mean you should use him as a dummy.
Unless they have agreed to it.
Right, unless it's a prearranged agreement.
Here, sign this prenup.
Hey, honey, do you mind today after work if you go in the closet and I turn the lights off and I just beat the crap out of you? Would that be okay with you?
With this punching glove, I thee wed to allow you to beat up on me in the closet anytime you see fit.
That's funny. I like it. Yeah, so the I was just thinking about the power. Does that give you more power when you beat the fire out of somebody?
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Makes you feel good.
Sometimes, I mean, that it's all about moving the energy.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's not probably the best way to go about it,
Yeah.
but it definitely gets that energy that's built up in someone an outlet.
Yeah, that reminds me of an interview with...
It's kind of like when you build a house and you have a burst of energy and you have no grounding wire, it has no outlet, so it has to blow plugs.
It reminds me of an interview of one of the UFC fighters when he was saying that he was accused of something outside of the ring or something. And he said, I was been trained all of my life to not touch anybody outside the ring.
Yeah.
And the reporter asked him, well, how do you do that? Because, I mean, you're knowing all of this knowledge and this power of martial arts and all this kind of stuff. How do you not react to it? And he said 100% that the power doesn't come from the knowledge. The power comes from the control of the knowledge.
That's right.
And,
well, yeah, Spider-Man said that, duh.
Oh, he did?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
With great knowledge comes great power.
Uh-huh. And with great power comes a need for great control. Unless you're, I don't know, King Kong.
Can we cue the cricket button? Wow, that's kind of soothing. Imagine.
You remember that night we put on the crickets on the Alexa?
On a starry night, laying in your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Nothing but crickets.
And just so you guys know,
a gentle breeze. And it's so calm and quiet and peaceful. All of your thoughts fade away.
Well, I feel pretty complete with this topic. How about you?
Let me check in for a second.
Check in. Do 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 do.
I feel like there's a minor little something there.
Minor?
Yeah, just a little tidbit.
I don't want to dig. Just kidding.
Get your shovel out for
What
a
kind
whack.
of minor?
Before I get my glove out. And
Like you ain't getting my power. I am not scared of you, lady. Oh, golly. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So, here's what it is. We have people that listen, and they're on various levels of their awakening school, if you will. First grade, second grade, third grade. I like to refer to it that way.
Okay.
We're climbing up the ladder of knowledge. College, university, whatever.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we give some techniques and identify them as assertive but easy, loving, professional ways that take your power back, but may not be being identified as that. Okay. That's the piece I feel like I want to conversate about briefly.
Okay.
So just like the example you said of feeling like you have no power because your boss made you stay 15 minutes over. That is a great example because nowhere in there do you have to stay 15 minutes over to do that. Most literal.
If you're an hourly employee, by the way, clarify.
If you're an hourly employee.
Yeah, unless it's in the job description as well.
Most, on a human level, in reality, by the governmental constructs that we've chosen.
I prefer choosing. I choose choosing.
I'm choosing my curd that you've chosen to experience. They can't make you do any of that. It's just that you've never been taught how to navigate that particular example in a manner that doesn't get you in trouble. The first go-to emotion is to get mad and throw a little fussy fit and pop off at the mouth or not say anything, go begrudgingly do the task and then be mad at your boss or your company because you stayed late. And then you go home and you complain to your family, your husband, oh yeah, my boss made me stay late. And so then that just perpetuates the feeling of feeling like you have no control over your reality. And so giving yourself permission to acquiesce some of your control back might look like a conversation that's like this. I am more than happy to help boss person, but I can't do it today because I have some things in my personal life that are already on schedule. So I will be going ahead and leaving at my normal time. And if you're able to help on another day and the helping is not the issue, it's just wanting to put yourself back in kind of the control of your life mentality, then give them another day that you would be willing to either A, incorporate that into your already schedule of, like, for instance, if you work a 9 to 5, then tell them, you know what, tomorrow I have a lighter day and I can take that particular task and incorporate it into my already work day, and I'll be more than happy to do that. Or if you have a day where you're willing to stay after or even come in early where it's not a big deal, then give them that option as well and
put the ball back in their court.
Then it makes it feel like, and it gives you back the perception that you are actually in control of your reality, and you did it in a very soft and calm and professional manner, rather than throwing a fit and getting mad and holding in that begrudgment and that resentment and that anger and allowing that scenario to steal your happiness. It's all about sometimes figuring out, do I have to do this? Is there a way I can communicate this in a different way?
Yeah.
And toggling your perspective, turning it around, looking at the situation of, okay, how can I handle that? And if you can't do it yet on the spot when you're asked that question, it's okay to say something like this. I don't know if I can stay after. I need to check with my schedule, my family member, because I am unsure of what my schedule looks like. So if you'll give me a few 5 minutes, 10 minutes to double check that, then that opens up a time-space reality
think
where
about it.
you
Yep.
can really kind of check in with it and figure out how to word.
Let me check my schedule, boss, and I'll get back with you.
Yeah. How to word that in such a way that it gives you the premise of power over your reality and not the other person.
Agreed.
And so sometimes it's just figuring out how to word that and how to navigate the verbology of it.
The verbology.
That way you can become a verbologist who specializes in verbology.
Is the study of verbology verbologer?
Yes, you then are a
verbologer.
verbologer.
After you study verbology.
Yeah, that's the Judaism of the day.
Okay. Does that complete you?
Yeah, I feel like that's complete. I just wanted to give them some tools and techniques. You know, if they're at lower level and they have a work that they've got to go to, and they don't know how to really communicate that, to feel like they're, especially if they are in a situation where they've got a real dictator as a boss.
Yeah.
A real dictator as a boss, then they can sometimes that can jam you up.
Yeah.
It can trip you up on how do I make this feel like I have more control over my reality.
Agreed.
And that would be one of the ways. You can also do that in your relationship.
Okay.
You know, if you're in a relationship with your spouse or even your children, you can use that same technique. You don't have to just lay it down and become somebody's servant or put aside your needs, wants, or desires just because somebody came and asked you, hey, can you do this for me? Or can you do a favor?
Right.
My go-to answer is, I don't know. Let me hear what you are in need of, and I'll let you know if I can assist you.
If I can accommodate you with your
I don't
request.
make any kind of verbal commitment when someone presents me with information until I hear completely what it is, because I don't want to make a commitment to something that I can't honor and hold up to.
Fair enough. Keeping your integrity in place.
Yeah.
Cool.
There you have it.
There we have it. Complete.
Complete.
Hey, I appreciate you all listening. Don't forget to like, follow, share. Look us up on social media at the Merck Centers on Instagram and X.
Ring that bell,
and Facebook.
y'all.
Don't forget to ring the bell. Love y'all. Have an awesome day.
Love you.